very true. And seriously, like your dad chases you down and, you know, like strangles all your friends so you blow up his space station. Like, straighten him out.
So, first up, we have everyone's favorite.
Well, some people's favorite. All right, so who has seen the Disney version of Cinderella? All right, that's pretty much everybody here.
Forget what you know.
Now, who knows of some of the earlier versions of the story? Okay, we've got a couple.
We're sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, we are very, very sorry in here about this. Very sorry. Not really repentant, but
Not at all.
It's more sorry, not sorry. But anyway, so in the earlier versions of Cinderella, do we have like details on Cinderella here?
Not so much, but we
Okay.
have kind of alternate artwork here. Show you where we're going with these things.
Now, for those of us who've seen the Disney movie, you know, Cinderella, she has her fairy godmother, she has evil stepsisters, fairy godmother, prince, you know, there's the whole little thing here. We're going to kind of tie this in a little bit and try to go in order alongside the Disney movie, but they're going to deviate. So, in the earlier version of Cinderella, we have a girl who is not orphaned. Her father is just weak-minded and completely ineffective at protecting her in any way whatsoever. Her mother died in a plague, which Disney happened to leave out for some reason. I can't imagine why. What? So her mother died in a plague. Her father remarried a gold digger who had daughters that she had brought up to be very like her. They took Cinderella's money, her dresses, her jewels, her everything, made her into the family servant, sleeping in the ashes where they get Cinderella.
Cinder Maid.
Cinder Maid, ash puddle in, you know, in one of the earlier stories.
At least it was warm.
Yeah. Well, and she was known, that's, in some of the stories, she actually chose to sleep there because that was the warmest place in the house. And she had no nice bed, no blankets. The sisters took over her room. That was the only place she had to try to keep warm. She'd huddle up in the ashes of that day's fire to stay warm for the night. They tormented her and were horrible. Now, the prince did have, oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. She did not have a fairy godmother. She prayed to her at the grave of her poor deceased mother. And she planted a willow twig on the grave at one point, which grew into a tree. And when she would go out there to pray and kind of cry out her complaints about her abuse and her mistreatment, a little white dove that lived in the tree would drop down whatever it is that she needed. If she had been starved, they would give her. The little bird would give her food. It would give her whatever she needed, and her needs were so little. She was just trying to survive. Now, the prince of the kingdom was looking for a wife, and he was hosting a ball to see who would kind of, sort of the Bachelor. They were all kind of competing to see who would get the rose here.
That is probably the scariest thing I've ever heard, that reality TV is ode to fairy tales.
Well, and The Bachelor's on ABC, which is owned by Walt Disney. That's exactly correct. It's all the same
We're
thing.
doomed.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Civilization is over.
But we knew that.
Yeah.
Come on. Now, this ball was 3 days long. The sisters, her evil stepsisters, were, dressing up in her wonderful, beautiful gowns and jewels, and they had everything they needed. And also, the poor father would buy them anything. He was weak-willed. Any strong woman who came ahead and said, "Hey, I need this thing," okay.
Whatever
don't
you
kill
say,
it.
dear. Here's my wallet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for the first night, she went out to the tree and prayed for a dress of silver and satin. And the little bird dropped down this beautiful silvery dress. She went to the ball. She danced with the prince. He was enamored of this beautiful woman. But she did, as in the Disney movie, have to be home by midnight, or all of this would be taken away, and the illusion would be broken.
Curfew sucks.
Seriously, right? So she would run home before midnight. She'd cut out and run home. The prince was looking for her, didn't know what was going on. By the third night of the ball, he had the steps outside the palace coated with tar. Because he wanted to, it basically, you know, like a fly trap for princesses.
It's like Princess Flytrap, ladies and gentlemen. The third day of the ball, things get a little freaky. That's what's happening.
Everybody's tired by then. It's kind of third day of the con here, you know.
Yeah,
It's just everyone's like, just frazzled. So she tried to cut and run like she had done, but of course her slipper got stuck in that tar. She managed to free herself and run home and kind of hid because, I mean, seriously, that's kind of a little bit of a traumatic thing. You know, some guy's trying to, like, you know, ensnare you. But she thought he was
And what she was doing wasn't creepy at all either. I'm gonna crash the party and just leave.
the more you're left out of something, the more you want to do it. I mean, come on. It's just nature. And, you know, she did think the prince was cute. She thought he was handsome. She was enamored of him also, but she also knew that if he came to her house and saw her in her everyday condition, he would reject her. Like, she was going to be covered in soot and ashes.
It's shallow.
Yeah.
It's shallow.
Well, like princes, you know, tend to be. Well,
Go ahead, go ahead.
No. So the prince was looking for this beautiful woman that he had fallen in love with over the course
Well,
of
we
3
should
days.
mention that the 3-day ball, she had a different outfit each time and a different set of shoes each time.
Nice.
She did.
Okay.
Yes.
Wardrobe changes, nice.
Exactly. So
Budget.
by the last one, it was a dress of gold and her glass slippers. I don't know why I'm looking at you. like you're.
I know things.
Uh-huh.
I drink and I know things.
Uh-huh. So the prince is looking for this beautiful woman that she fell in love with, and he comes to her house. She was still hiding in the kitchen, and of course the stepmother wasn't going to let her anywhere near this handsome rich guy that she wanted to marry her daughters off to. So the first daughter comes out, and the prince is trying the shoe on everyone. Like, who does this shoe fit? This belongs to
Depending
the.
on the version, the prince didn't even show up. He just sent
He sent
attendants.
servants, yeah, and some of them he just sent the attendants. But what happens was the stepmother was so eager to get to like reel in this prize catch for one of her daughters. The first daughter tried to put her feet in the shoe, and it didn't fit. Her toes were too big. So the mother said, "I'm going to cut off your toes now, dear." And she took her in the kitchen. She told the prince, "So just 1 minute. We just need to work this on a little bit." And so she took her into the kitchen and she chopped off her daughter's toes, shoved her foot in the shoe, and sent her along her way with the prince.
It fits now.
Yeah, if the shoe fits.
Right.
As the prince is riding off with the stepsister behind him, the little bird came down singing a little song, saying, oh prince, you have the wrong woman. There's blood running down the side of your horse." And he looks, and sure enough, there is blood running down the side of her horse. So horrified, he turns around and to return this one. And they're like, okay, so maybe, and
It
he's-
was damaged in the shipment.
it was. And he's a little trusting because he says, okay, well, are there any other women in the household?
You got any women with toes in here? We'd like some toes on this deal.
A little bit. Actually, which is,
A little bit.
yeah, a little bit of a foot fetish. So he returns this one, and the second sister tries to get into the shoe, and her heel is too big. So they go through the same process. The mother says this will only hurt for a moment, and just think of having all the riches and servants for the rest of your life. You'll be fine. You'll never have, the mother actually says, you'll never have to walk anywhere because you'll have people to carry you or bring you whatever you need. So, like, you know, she talks her into this and chops off her heel, goes off with the prince. Tweet, 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 blood running down the horse. Hello, blood running down the horse. He takes her back, and you'd think he would just avoid the house at this point.
Okay,
but he would
how many
give it another
times?
try.
How many times he has
What's
to
the next
learn
one
that?
going to be missing, okay?
Exactly.
It's only getting worse, I'm just saying.
The next one is just the foot made of putty, you know. Kind of like, so he goes back, and finally, at this point, the stepmother's just out of ideas, and she thinks, well, if some member of my household can get in, then we're good. So she's finally willing to release poor Cinderella from the kitchen. She washes the ashes off her face the best she can, and puts her foot into the shoe perfectly. The prince is so happy that he finally has the right woman without all the gore, which is always a plus in your marriage. And the wedding party, as they are riding to the palace, he's on the horse, Cinderella's behind them. Her sisters have decided, well, at least maybe we can be high-level servants to her in the palace. We'll get something out of this. But
Even though they can't walk.
even though they can't walk, they're kind of hobbling. Well, it's only 1 foot. I mean, come on. So they're all on the marriage procession to the palace, and the little bird brought friends, and everyone's traveling to the palace.
This nice, sweet, little innocent bird that gave Cinderella everything she wanted and needed
came down, swooping down with its little buddies, and plucked out an eye from each of the sisters. Now, somehow they still went to the wedding. I'm not sure how this happened.
That's determination,
You just
man.
had to
That's
draw
determination.
shooting out of
something.
your eye socket.
Yeah.
Or whatever, exactly, yes.
Yeah. So, mom tells them to walk it off, pack it in. It's all good. They go, they sit through the
I'm
wedding
okay.
reception.
I'm okay.
But a scratch.
I'm not dead.
Ow.
It's hobbling.
Ow.
Yeah, I'm not dead yet. Exactly. So they go to the wedding. They are thinking, okay, well, I'm missing part of my foot and an eye, but I can still be a servant to her. And on the way back out from the wedding, the birds swoop down again and take the other eye from each of
Now,
them.
you'd think you'd be on guard. You'd think you'd be like, with my one good eye. But,
Yeah, something that's one of these things with so many of these fairy tales, nobody learns. It's just, like, okay, it's happened 3 times. What are the odds? It's
What are the
fine.
odds?
We're good. We'll get through this next one. So she had her revenge. She never specifically asked for her revenge. But this little bird and the spirit, and this is the spirit of her mother doing this. So you've got evil stepmother versus, fierce protective, birth mother, who is like, oh, you're messing with my baby girl. Oh, no, we're not having this.
Yeah.
So this is the spirit of her mother who's protecting her by mutilating
Mutilating her foes.
Moms, what can you do?
There was a
Nice.
version that was more true to Disney's with an actual fairy godmother
Yes. And a pumpkin and
a
all of
pumpkin
that.
and all the accoutrements. And the prince, after 3 days of dancing,
Yes.
still could not recognize her by her face.
That's, yeah.
Too busy looking at her feet.
Yes.
It was.
Yeah, okay.
It's
Okay, what is that
transpired.
guy? Yeah, it was clearly that guy's
Yeah,
priorities
different priorities.
are unique. Yeah.
Just a little bit.
I'm sure she has a fantastic shoe closet now.
Yeah, he gets.
Drinking and dancing, how much do you remember?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
But true love.
True love.
Is that what brings us
True
together
love
today?
brings us together.
So
All
that-
right, so
that's Cinderella.
you've ruined Cinderella. What's
Ruined
next?
Cinderella.
What's next
Next
on the
is-
cavalcade of
We have,
ruining? Oh, yes, absolutely. Questions about
Are
the
you
ruination.
dressed-
You are Cinderella.
dressed as Cinderella? Oh dear.
We are so
Do you have a
I'm
response
sorry.
to this terrible assault on your
We need a
character?
waiver for people to sign this.
Yes. Did you have a question? Yes. Yeah.
Mm,
I'm
cute.
so
I
sorry.
love that outfit.
Did not mean to malign your character.
Next up, other questions about Cinderella? No?
All right.
They want to move on to something
Moving
Okay.
on.
Where was the bird getting all of this?
Yeah,
Was it just robbing stores?
that's I think it was robbing stores. The bird had a gun. It was like
Prime
Bird
shirt
just
prime
walks
now.
into the store, give me the dress.
Ah, give me the dress. Ah. Yeah.
Well, there's that supernatural aspect that was provided from heaven type of thing.
I do actually have a question. Was it always a glass slipper? I just sort of heard that it was like a fur slipper at one point. Or was that just one of her
Whoa,
shoes?
that's way back.
That's like any so many of these fairy tales. There are versions of them that go way back, and even the first written versions that we know aren't the first versions of the story. So there are
It's the
so
first
many.
versions we have.
Mhm. Or there will just be the most popular version that is the one that carried along. So yeah, there's some that it's a fur slipper, some it was a gold. It was made out of
There's
beaten gold.
a copper, a silver, gold, one for each color dress, then the glass.
Yeah, we're kind of doing a little bit of a compilation of the older versions of it. But yeah, there was a fur slipper in one of the versions. So you are that yeah.
I had read that there's in ancient Egypt, they had a story that had
Yeah.
it had the same basics as Cinderella, with somebody, a princess being identified by her shoe. Sort of the same thing, a girl meets the pharaoh or whatever and the whole shoe thing. But it's a version of Cinderella, basically in ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
It is, and that's one of the wonderful things about these stories is that they go so far back. They're versions in so many different cultures at the same time. There was something that spoke to the cultural consciousness that people were traveling and telling the story, and other people said, you know what? That speaks to something, and I'm going to tell my own version of it. And that one, a bird had actually carried her sandal across Egypt and dropped it in the lap of the pharaoh, who was so enamored of the lovely shape of the sandal. Again,
shoe.
little guy. There really is a foot thing happening here.
They didn't have the internet yet, guys, so,
Exactly.
you know.
Yeah, he was so enamored of the lovely shape of her sandal. He went on a quest looking for the person whose foot fit that sandal. So, like, I don't know how you tell just from the shape of the shoe, but, well, they were custom made at that point, but it's still a little iffy.
There's a version of that where the sandals actually belonged to Helen of Troy,
Wow.
Oh, really?
and that a Greek sandal, which is why it was so different from the Egyptian sandals.
Right there.
So that was, and she was being kidnapped towards Troy at that point.
Oh, wow.
So.
First you, then you.
The Egyptian one is called Rhodopsis. If anyone's looking to look
Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate
very, very
that.
much. It's one of those ones that
Blank
it
here.
doesn't stick for me.
Sure. So he was only interested in the foot?
That's kind of the idea.
It was a start. It was a
She
get to know you
dancer
foot.
too, so. And they supposedly talked during the ball, but we don't have that part of the story.
Some people fall in love with someone's beautiful eyes or, their hair. You just happen to fall in love with her feet.
It's so hard to find that special someone. I'm just,
It's CSI fairy tale.
Yeah.
You need the footprints.
Yeah, that really is. My eyes are all the way up here. Like-
Yeah, it's like, all right, I think, are you moving on to rumors?
We're ready to.
What are you
move
going to
on.
ruin next, kids?
You want Snow White or Belle first?
You get Snow White up.
Snow White's up. So.
Let's do Belle first.
Okay, let's do Belle first.
I like to end on Snow White, and for reasons.
For reasons, okay. That sounds like trouble.
Oh, I'm
The
sorry.
evil cat.
I'm not supposed to evil laugh into the microphone. I
All
forgot.
right, so